Divorce me if you don't like it. The text from my wife, Sophia, landed at 11:47 p.m. A digital grenade lobbed from a world of champagne and gallery after-parties. Attached was a photo. Sophia, radiant in an emerald silk dress I'd never seen, the laughing center of attention for a group of handsome, predatory men. It was a calculated act of defiance, a dare from a woman who believed she was untouchable. She saw her husband as a boring, predictable variable in an equation she controlled, a simple tech guy lost in a world of code she didn't understand. What Sophia didn't know is that I'm a cybersecurity analyst specializing in digital forensics. My job isn't to write code, it's to break it. I find the patterns people think are hidden. I recover the data they think is deleted. And she had just reported a catastrophic vulnerability in her own life. I wouldn't respond to her text for 7 days. By then, I would have built a digital case so airtight it would not just end our marriage. It would shatter the entire false reality she had so carefully constructed. Viewers, have you ever been underestimated by someone who thought you were too busy or too simple to see their deception? How did you turn the tables? Share your stories in the comments below. And please, subscribe, like, and watch until the end. You won't want to miss how this unfolds. My name is Liam Carter, and I'm 36 years old. I work for a major consulting firm here in Seattle. My job isn't about spreadsheets or market predictions. I'm an ethical hacker, a digital forensics specialist. Corporations pay me a small fortune to find the weaknesses in their digital fortresses before the real criminals do. I live in a world of firewalls, encrypted data streams, and hidden backdoors. My job is to see the ghost in the machine. The irony is suffocating now. For a decade, I've protected billion-dollar companies from betrayal from within. Yet I never once ran a diagnostic on my own marriage. My wife, Sophia, is the head curator at a chic downtown art gallery. Her world smells of champagne, expensive perfume, and oil paint. We met in college, two ambitious kids who promised to conquer the world together. We married at 27 and bought a beautiful modern home overlooking Lake Union. To our friends, we were the perfect Seattle couple, the artist and the analyst, balancing each other out. She was the style. I was the substance. But somewhere along the line, I became the boring, stable foundation that existed only to hold up her fabulous life. It's 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday night. I'm in my home office, finishing a penetration test for a client. The rhythmic click of my keyboard, the only sound in the house against the quiet hum of my servers. Sophia is at what she called a patron's gala for the gallery. My phone buzzes, a sharp, intrusive sound. The text preview glows on the screen. Each word is a perfectly polished stone thrown at a glass house. At a lounge with some patrons. Met some fascinating people. You're always working anyway. Divorce me if you don't like it. I read it twice. Then, a third time. The words weren't written in anger. They were written with the cold, careless confidence of someone who believes they hold all the power. Someone who sees divorce not as a tragedy, but as a casual inconvenience. There was a photo attached. My thumb hovers over it. Every instinct screaming not to look. I look anyway. Sophia is radiant in an emerald green silk dress I don't recognize. It's the kind of dress that makes a statement, that announces an arrival. She's laughing, her head thrown back, holding a cocktail. But she's not sitting with one man. She's surrounded by them 4, maybe 5, all impeccably dressed, all looking at her with the same predatory admiration. One man's hand rests on the back of her chair. Another is leaning in to whisper something in her ear. This isn't a picture of a simple affair. It's a picture of an audition. And the text message was her final, arrogant performance review of me. When I was 16, my father cheated on my mother. I watched her confront him, her voice thick with tears and disbelief. He denied everything, twisted her words, and made her feel crazy for even suspecting. She stayed, broken and diminished, for 2 more years before he left her anyway. I'll never forget her sitting in the dark telling me, "The worst part isn't the lie, Liam. It's realizing your whole reality was fake. That the life you thought you were living didn't actually exist." I swore on that day I would never be that blind. I would never be that powerless. I don't respond to Sophia's text. Emotion is a vulnerability, a port that can be exploited. Instead, my fingers move across the keyboard, not with anger, but with cold, clinical purpose. My analyst brain takes over. I don't start with phone records or social media. That's amateur hour. I start with our home network's router logs. I want to see every device that is connected to our Wi-Fi in the last 6 months. A few minutes of scripting, and I find it. An unrecognized MacBook Pro and an iPhone 14 that have connected to our network dozens of times, always on weekday afternoons when I was at the office. My pulse remains steady. This is just data. The data is the thread. I follow it. The thread leads me to the rolling cloud backups for Sophia's laptop. People delete files, but they forget about the ghosts left behind in the cloud, the digital echoes that never truly fade. I run a data recovery script. Deleted iMessages, photos, calendar entries. It all begins to flood back, populating a secure, encrypted folder on my server. The data paints a clear picture. The late nights she claimed were for installing new exhibits were actually dinners at Canlis and Altura. The weekend art fairs in Portland were trips to luxury spa hotels on the coast. She comes home at 2 a.m. I'm in bed, eyes closed, my breathing even as I feign sleep. The air changes as she enters the room. She smells of gin and a cologne that isn't mine, something expensive and musky. She doesn't look at me. She goes straight to the bathroom, and the shower runs for a full 30 minutes, the sound of rushing water, a desperate attempt at absolution. She's not just washing off the night. She's scrubbing away the evidence. 6 months ago, when she got the head curator job, she was electric with excitement. This is it, Liam. My chance to make a name for myself in a world that actually matters. But that world slowly began to exclude me. When I'd ask about her day, she'd give vague, dismissive answers. It's the art world, darling, full of big egos and bigger money. You wouldn't find it interesting. I let it go, telling myself I was supporting her dream. That was my mistake. I was so busy providing the stable, predictable life she needed to launch her career. I never realized she saw that life and me as the launch pad she always planned to leave behind. This man from Modern.com. The next morning, Friday, Sophia kisses my forehead before leaving at 8 a.m. "Feel better, darling," she says, her voice a smooth, flawless performance of wifely concern. An hour before, I'd sent a message to my team leader, citing a sudden migraine from too much screen time, the perfect, unassailable excuse for a cybersecurity analyst. "It's the first sick day I've taken in 2 years. Sophia smiles down at me, the picture of a loving wife. There's no trace of the woman who sent that text 12 hours ago. No hint of the stranger's cologne she'd washed off in the shower. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. The moment her Audi pulls out of the driveway, I'm at my primary workstation. My work isn't just a job, it's a skill set, and I am about to apply that entire skill set to the catastrophic security breach that is my marriage. I start with our shared financials, a place where data never lies. I begin a deep dive, pulling transaction records for the last 6 months. My dread grows with each line of code that sorts and flags the anomalies. The patterns are damning. There are charges I'd never noticed, buried in the noise of everyday expenses. Dinners at Canlis and Altura, places you go to close multi-million-dollar deals or propose. On nights she claimed to be attending artist mixers, a suite at the Four Seasons downtown 3 weeks ago, when she supposedly had a gallery retreat on Bainbridge Island. I'd even called her that night, and she'd answered, slightly out of breath, whispering about how tiring but inspiring the workshops were. Then there are the purchases. A $2,500 handbag from a boutique in Bellevue. A series of charges from a high-end lingerie shop, agent provocateur, totaling over $800. I had never seen any of it. These weren't gifts for me. They were costumes for her other life. My hands are steady as I navigate to the cloud backups of her devices. Her iPad sits on her nightstand, but I don't need physical access. I have administrator privileges to our entire network and our shared cloud storage. Within minutes, I've initiated a full data recovery of her deleted message history from the last year. The files begin to populate a secure, encrypted folder on my local server. There's a group chat named The Vanguard, filled with vapid, self-important people from her art world. I scan through weeks of conversations about gallery openings and auctions. Then, I find a message thread with a single contact, Elias. The name is generic, but the content is not. The messages are explicit, filled with plans, private jokes, and shared fantasies. But one from last week makes my blood run cold. It's from him. Wear the green silk on Thursday. I want everyone at the gala to see what true beauty looks like standing next to my collection. The emerald green dress from the photo. The one she'd worn while being adored by a circle of men. It wasn't a random choice. It was a request. A command. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a staged production. And I was the unwitting, invisible audience they were performing for. Friday evening, Sophia comes home with takeout from our favorite Thai place and a radiant smile. She's in cashmere joggers and an old college sweatshirt, her hair piled into a messy bun. It's the off-duty Sophia, a carefully curated version of the girl I fell in love with. She suggests we watch an obscure French film, the kind of thing we used to enjoy together before her life became too important. Curled up against me on the sofa, she idly plays with my hair while the movie plays. The performance is so flawless, so affectionate, that for a split second, I feel a dizzying wave of doubt. Am I the one who's crazy? Am I misinterpreting the data? 3 years ago, we had a pregnancy scare. When the test came back negative, the relief that washed over Sophia's face was absolute. "Oh, thank God," she'd whispered, her hands shaking. "My career is just starting, Liam. A baby right now. It would be the end of everything I've worked for." I held her and told her I understood, that we had time. I championed her ambition, celebrated her every success. I never imagined that her definition of success was a life in which I had no place. "How was the gala last night?" I ask, my voice a carefully modulated instrument of casual interest. "Oh, you know," she says, her eyes fixed on the screen. "Endless schmoozing with the same old money. Exhausting, really. Just the usual collectors and their massive egos. The lie is as smooth and expensive as the silk she was wearing. Anyone interesting?" I pressed gently. A fisherman letting out the line. Just the same old crowd. A few patrons, some artists. No one you'd know, darling. There were no patrons in that photo. Just a pack of admirers orbiting her like planets around a sun. I nod, smiling into the darkness of the living room, letting her believe her firewall is secure. Saturday morning, Sophia announces she's going to a 9 a.m. Pilates class and then meeting her sister, Jessica, for brunch. She's dressed in designer athletic wear that probably cost more than my first computer, her makeup subtle but perfect. I watch her check her reflection in the hall mirror, a small, satisfied smile playing on her lips as if she's admiring a masterpiece. She kisses me goodbye, a quick, dry peck, and says she'll be back mid-afternoon. An hour earlier, I'd texted her sister, asking for advice on a surprise birthday gift for Sophia. Jessica had replied almost immediately, confused. "Brunch? No, I haven't seen her in weeks. Is everything okay, Liam?" I follow her. I keep my gray sedan 3 cars back, an anonymous ghost in Seattle traffic. She doesn't drive toward her Pilates studio in Queen Anne. Instead, she heads downtown toward the waterfront to a place called the Lumina Tower, a hyper-modern, ultra-exclusive condo building known for its panoramic views and billionaire residents. She pulls into the private valet entrance, hands her keys to the attendant with an easy, practiced familiarity, and walks inside. She belongs here. I park across the street, the engine off, and wait. My mind is a silent hum of processing data. Each passing minute feels like an hour. My knuckles are white on the steering wheel. 37 minutes later, she walks out, and she's not alone. He is with her. He's older, maybe late 40s, with silvering temples and an air of quiet, formidable wealth. He's not handsome in a flashy way. He's compelling, dressed in a tailored linen blazer and dark jeans that scream effortless expense. They are laughing, and his hand is resting on the small of her back, a gesture of casual, unquestioned ownership. As they wait for the valet to bring his car, a black Porsche Taycan, she leans her head against his shoulder for just a moment. That single, simple gesture is more devastating than 1,000 explicit photos. It's not just passion, it's intimacy. It's comfort. It's a life I have no part in. My phone is already recording, capturing every detail, every timestamp, uploading it directly to my secure server. The data is incontrovertible. The false reality has been rendered in high definition. The preliminary investigation is over. Now, the real work begins. Taxably UA, I follow them to a restaurant in Kirkland, a place on the waterfront where the clientele's net worth is higher than the city's average temperature. It's the kind of establishment where reservations are made months in advance, yet they are greeted by the maitre d' by name and shown immediately to a secluded corner table with an unobstructed view of Lake Washington. I park further down the street, my car's tinted windows providing just enough cover. My phone is mounted on the dash, its camera lens a cold, unblinking eye, recording and uploading the high-definition video feed directly to my encrypted server. I'm not a jealous husband anymore. I'm a forensic analyst in the field, gathering data, timestamps, facial recognition, proximity analysis. It's all evidence for the dossier I am building. They order champagne, they share a platter of oysters, and at one point, he reaches across the table to gently wipe a drop of sauce from the corner of her mouth with his thumb. Sophia doesn't flinch. She leans into the gesture, her eyes closing for a fraction of a second in what looks like pure contentment. He then feeds her a bite of his risotto, and she laughs a sound that I feel in my bones. It's a genuine, uninhibited laugh, the kind I haven't heard from her in years. She looks beautiful. She looks happy. She looks like a complete stranger. That's the realization that cuts deeper than the betrayal itself. This isn't just a sordid physical affair. This is a life she prefers, a reality she has actively chosen over ours. When Sophia got her first assistant curator position 5 years ago, we were still broke, living in a tiny apartment in Ballard and drowning in student debt. To celebrate, I spent our last $100 on a fancy bottle of wine and the ingredients to cook her favorite meal. We danced in our shoebox kitchen to a crackling radio. And later that night, she cried happy tears in my arms. "We're going to make it, Liam," she'd whispered against my chest. "I'm going to make you so proud." But somewhere between struggling together and her succeeding separately, we became I. I was so focused on providing the secure foundation for her to launch from, I never realized she saw me as the scaffolding, meant to be dismantled and discarded once her masterpiece was complete. On Monday morning, I walk into the downtown office of Jenna Martinez. She's a private investigator, a sharp, no-nonsense ex-police detective I've recommended to corporate clients who needed more than just a digital trail. Her office is sparse and functional. No frills, just results. "Liam," she says, her handshake firm. "I'm used to getting your clients, not you. This must be serious. It's methodical." I correct her. sliding a sleek encrypted tablet across her desk. On it is my preliminary report, a password-protected file. The password is Veritas's. I say, truth. Inside is everything. The recovered messages, the detailed financial analysis, the router logs, and the high-resolution time-stamped video I took at the restaurant. Jenna spends 10 minutes swiping through the data, her expression unreadable. She looks up, her eyes sharp with professional respect. This is one of the most comprehensive digital dossiers I've ever seen a civilian put together. You've established a clear pattern of deception and a primary subject. What do you need from me that you can't get with a keyboard? The human intelligence, I say, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. I have the what, the when, and the where. I need the who and the why. I need to know the full scope of the vulnerability. I need to know everything about him. Elias Vance. She nods slowly, a flicker of understanding or maybe pity in her eyes. I'll need a retainer. And 3 days. Those 3 days are the longest of my life. I go to work, I write code, I attend meetings. I am a ghost in my own life, functioning on autopilot. At home, Sophia continues her masterful performance. She discusses gallery budgets, complains about a difficult artist, asks my opinion on a new shade of paint for the living room. Each word is a lie, a carefully placed brick in the wall of her false reality. I play my part, the supportive, slightly distracted husband. We are 2 actors in a play where I am the only one who knows the final act is a tragedy. On Wednesday evening, Jenna calls. Her voice is all business. The report is ready, Liam. You should come to my office. And you might want to clear your schedule for the rest of the night. Jenna's final report is not a folder. It's a binder, 3 inches thick. I sit in her sterile conference room under the cold glare of fluorescent lights and begin to read. The grief I thought I had contained and compartmentalized transforms into something glacial and hard. Sophia and Elias Vance, the billionaire art collector and a major patron of her gallery, have been having an affair for over 6 months. He's 48, a titan in the Seattle tech and real estate world. They don't meet in cheap hotels. They use his private penthouse at the Lumina Tower, the one she'd walked into so confidently. Jenna's team had documented 3 more brunch dates, 2 late-night meetings, and 1 weekend trip to his private vineyard in Napa, which Sophia had told me was a mandatory professional development retreat. She had lied about her salary, too. The report details how Elias had been supplementing her income with bonuses and consulting fees paid from one of his shell corporations, funneling nearly $100,000 into a private bank account she'd opened 6 months ago. The expensive clothes, the handbag, the lingerie, she'd bought them all herself. With his money, she wasn't just being kept, she was being funded, a business partner in her own deception. But that's not the twist. That's just the ugly, predictable part. Jenna's report continues. Elias Vance has a pattern. He is a predator who uses his power and wealth to seduce ambitious, intelligent women in the art world, women who depend on his patronage for their careers. But he never leaves his wife. There's more, Jenna says quietly from across the table, sliding a printed photograph toward me. That's his wife, Dr. Alana Vance. I stare at the photo of a smiling, elegant woman. I recognize her immediately. Dr. Alana Vance isn't just a wife. She's one of the most respected philanthropists in the Pacific Northwest. She's the head of a major charitable foundation, sits on the board of the Children's Hospital, and is a celebrated, beloved public figure. She is, by all accounts, a saint. And according to Jenna's sources, she is completely unaware of her husband's predatory activities. My wife isn't just an adulteress. She's a willing participant in the humiliation of another woman, a pawn in a rich man's sick, repetitive game. Jenna pushes a small black USB drive across the table. One last thing. This is from the security camera inside the private elevator at the Lumina from last Saturday. Her voice is gentle. You've all the proof you need for court. Without this, you don't have to watch it. I have to. I need to see the last ghost of hope die. I slide the drive into my laptop. The video is silent, date and time-stamped. It shows Sophia and Elias entering the mirrored elevator. The moment the polished steel doors close, he pushes her against the wall, his hands tangling in her hair as he kisses her with a brutal, possessive force. She doesn't resist. She wraps her arms around his neck, meeting his passion with a desperate hunger of her own. This isn't the soft romantic intimacy I saw at brunch. This is raw, all-consuming, and transactional. The time on the video is 1:15 p.m. An hour later, she was texting me, a casual, breezy message about being on her way home from brunch with her sister. I close the laptop. I sit in the silence of Jenna's office and stare at my wedding ring, a simple platinum band that suddenly feels like a shackle. My mother's words from all those years ago finally make perfect, devastating sense. The worst part is realizing your whole reality was fake. I finally understand. My marriage wasn't real. My wife wasn't real. It was all just corrupted data, a beautifully rendered illusion. And as a cybersecurity analyst, I knew exactly what to do with a corrupted system. You don't try to fix it. You isolate the threat, you document the breach, and then you purge it completely. Grief was a liability, and I was done being liable.